function. How's that thing look now?
Looks good. I got the recording and everything.
All right, perfect timing. It's 9 o'clock, so let's start it.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, good afternoon or good morning, depending on what part of the country you're in today. Welcome to the latest in the social media series brought to you by HSA Home Warranty, your very proud home warranty partner. And if we're not already your home warranty partner, we certainly hope to be in the very near future. We're up to LinkedIn in our winning listings and converting buyers series. We've done an entire series of this already on Facebook, and you can access that. We'll show you later on in the presentation how you can get all of our past webinars and tutorials. But today is going to be about winning listings and converting buyers with LinkedIn. So welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out today. I know there are lots of you joining in from around the country. We are going to start today right on time. We want to be sensitive to your schedules and get all this information jam-packed into a very powerful 45 minutes. Definitely try to keep it under an hour for you today. As you can see up here on your screen, or most of you should be able to see, that this is a GoToMeeting webinar or GoToWebinar. And all of you are muted for today's call because there are hundreds of you around the country. So you won't be able to speak during the call. We won't be able to hear you. But you'll be able to type in a question or a comment on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a control panel there where you'll be able to type in your questions or comments as we go along. If it's something that we feel needs to be addressed during the call, absolutely, we will do that. If we have time at the end, we'll address some questions or comments if possible, or we'll be sure to get back to you directly based on your question or comment. And if we feel it's something that the entire group will benefit from, we'll be sure that everybody gets the answer or reply to that question or comment. Take good notes during today's call. For those of you who have been on our webinars before, you'll know that we go through a lot of information in a short amount of time that is entirely focused on how you can use social media, in this case LinkedIn, to win a listing or to convert a buyer and building your business. So I remind you to take good notes. However, if there's something that you missed, keep in mind that all of you will be getting a copy of this entire presentation. Not only will you be getting a copy of the slides, but you will also be getting a link to the audio recorded version of today's presentation. So again, if you missed something or if you have to leave to go rush out and deal with your clients, don't worry about it. We'll be sure to get you a copy of it so that you don't miss anything. All right. So those of you can dial in on the phone, or you're listening during the call on your computer, and that's what the slide up there is illustrating how you can listen through the mic and the speakers on your phone. Okay, so let's get right into it. My name is Burke Smith. I'm the Chief Communications Officer at HSA Home Warranty, the trusted name in home warranty. We are very, very big here at HSA on service, and a big part of our service is our added value that we provide to you, our clients. And this whole series, the whole reason for doing this, is so that if in some small way we can help build your business, we want to be there for you as your partner in helping build and grow your business. And hopefully you'll see the value in this, as we know many agents have in our previous seminars and webinars. I always like to start off by saying technology will never replace agents, but agents using technology will. So for those of you on today's call I know you're muted, so I can't hear you, but I'm sure you're all agreeing with that statement because that's what we're living today. We see over 90% of buyers and sellers using the web during the search in finding a home or in finding their agent. And it's not just the Gen X and Gen Y. We now know that over 75% of baby boomers are using the web during the process. So it's very important that you become that agent using technology. We go along here, give you a little bit, for those of you who don't know me, in addition to being the Chief Communications Officer at HSA Home Warranty, I'm also an active licensed real estate broker in California. That's where I built my business. The only reason I want to make sure you're aware of this is that anytime you attend a seminar or webinar, it's always important to ask of the presenter, who are you and how do you know? Well, today you have myself, Burke Smith, and you also have my esteemed colleague, Brian Geik, who is heads up social media for us at HSA. So many of you know him as well as being my co-host today's call. And so Brian and I will be teaming up to present the winning listings and converting buyers today on LinkedIn. So what you got here is a great combination of where technology and tradition come together in our business, right? So I'm responsible for selling an awful lot of real estate using the same exact tools and strategies that you're going to hear about today. And we have many, many happy followers who've been on taking part in these classes with us. You can also follow us live on Twitter at HSA Home Warranty, hashtag HSA Webinar. This is a great place for you to post questions or comments offline, something that you might want to work on directly with us, okay? And don't forget, we've got great tutorial videos on YouTube. That's where this will be eventually posted, so check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/HSA Home Warranty. We've got great training videos there, tutorials for you step-by-step on stuff we've done in the past, and of course, you'll find this there. And also, we move along. Let's jump right into it. So today, when we talk about using social media and real estate 101 versus social media 101, it's no longer help me find a house, what's my house worth, tell me how the market is. It's prove to me that I can trust you. So in our series, we started with Facebook, and now we're moving into LinkedIn. Why? Because what do you think people are doing when those 90% are going to the web? They're typing your name in. They're Googling you. They're putting your name in to see where you're at on Facebook or on LinkedIn. And your social media needs to illustrate that they can trust you. Your number one goal is not to schedule an appointment to show somebody the perfect property. Your number one goal with social media is that by the time they call you or contact you, the prospect believes you are the perfect person to show them any property because you understand their needs. How are they getting that? They're getting that through your social media profiles. I also want you to think about what is your niche. Many of you might have heard me say in the past, own a niche to get rich. Okay? When you get on social media, you can't be all things to all people, especially on LinkedIn. Right? You don't want to get on there and be just Burke Smith real estate agent. Right? So you need to think about what is the niche, whether it's geographical or type of buyer or seller that you work with best. But there is definitely a niche that you own or that you want to own that you need to make clear through your social media. So this is something many of you may have seen before, and I always put it at the beginning of these social media presentations because you are a brand. When you become an agent, your name is no longer just your name. Your name is a brand, and it's a brand that the client is going to interact with most. So how can you how can you possibly leverage the power of LinkedIn and other forms of social media if you don't have a good understanding of what your brand is about, right? So it's a very simple branding exercise. Write down 3 to 5 things that you think your brand represents in the marketplace. And don't just say loyalty, integrity, and experience, right? So if you're great with short sales and foreclosures, come right out and say that. The best resource for short sales and foreclosures in Cleveland or Pittsburgh or Chicago or San Diego, whatever it is, okay? But really identify what your brand is all about. And I don't mean just the broker you work for. Obviously, the broker you work for has a brand identity that means something to you. That's why you're there, right? Well, what is your brand? When somebody hears your name, what does it mean? And it's important that you do this exercise before you can properly leverage any form of social media. I want you to concentrate on being interested versus interesting, right? There's a big difference in these two concepts, in that it's going to cost you a heck of a lot more money, time, and energy, and money. And I purposely say money twice. It's going to cost you a heck of a lot more money, time, and energy trying to be interesting to somebody than to show that you're interested in somebody. And so make sure you think about that when you're filling out your profiles on LinkedIn. Okay? Think about how you're going to use these tools. We'll come back to this at the end, because we're going to talk to you about how taking people offline and giving them a reason to join you online. We'll go to the next slide. We'll jump right into LinkedIn here. And I'm going to hand this off to Brian Geik here in a minute as we actually jump into leveraging LinkedIn and the how-to. So if you jump off this call today, you'll have all the tools to log into your LinkedIn profiles and hopefully build it out to 100% success. So we'll get in, Brian.
Yep.
You jump in here.
All right.
And Brian Geik, everybody.
Thank you very much, Burke. Thanks for the introduction. So, I mean, LinkedIn is definitely the biggest professional social network out there. Everybody knows it. Everybody talks about it. There are 7,610 searches on LinkedIn per minute. So people are out there looking for information. They're looking for clients. They're trying to, get the background on these people. And also, it's a business-focused group. It's not, Facebook where it's all your friends and families. These are all business people. So 4 out of 5 LinkedIn members actually drive business decisions at their companies. So these aren't really just, the kind of lower-level workers in most of these places. A lot of people on LinkedIn actually have, the upper management type level jobs. 90% of professionals use social media to get access to thought leadership and information that they couldn't get elsewhere. So LinkedIn has a lot of that. They have what are basically called thought leaders on there. And these are people, like the head guy for Virgin Airlines, they're on there. And they actually share articles just on LinkedIn. They basically make LinkedIn their own blog. And they're sharing great information about business strategies, things like that, all the time. So that's what people are really going out on LinkedIn for. It's to get business strategies and thoughts of those business leaders that are out there right now. So the goals of using LinkedIn, these main goals are, 1, to grow your reach. So the more active you are out there, the more groups you're involved in, the more questions you're commenting on, the more basically everything you're doing out there, more people you're endorsing. That's going to grow your reach. It's going to put your picture on other people's profiles. It's going to put your comments in other people's groups where a lot more people are going to be apt to see it. And once they see it on there, then they can reach out to you and try to connect with you. Another big thing is increasing engagement. So once again, if you're in these groups commenting, sharing valuable information, you're going to increase all that engagement and drive people to come to you. So it's really a lot of inbound marketing is what the increasing engagement is. You're out there posting thoughtful things, posting insightful things, putting your 2 cents in on every comment and post that you're working on to give people that idea, that you know what you're talking about, so that way they'll come to you and check you out. And generate website traffic. So basically what LinkedIn is, on your profile, you have all of your information on there, including your website. So if somebody finds you on LinkedIn in either a group or they're passing by and just searching, your profile comes up, one of the first things they're going to do is go to your profile and see where your website takes them. So this is going to drive a lot of traffic back to your websites, which is kind of the whole goal of everything, because your website is really your selling vehicle for everything you do. And of course, to win listings and convert buyers. So it's a little harder on LinkedIn than it might be in some other places, because you're hitting people in the buying cycle when they might not be ready to buy a house right now. They're more just looking to get information about an area, or learn a little bit more about the community there, things like that. So your network and degrees of connection on LinkedIn, there's 3 degrees of connections: first, second, and third. First connection would basically be you're connected to somebody directly, you know them, you've done business with them. Second degree connection would be you know somebody and then they know somebody else who you maybe haven't met yet, and so on and so forth. And basically LinkedIn runs on those first degree connections, the actual connections, where you have a direct, at some point, you have met this person, you have talked to them. Those are the first 3 connections, and that's kind of the main point of LinkedIn.
So what you need to think about this as is LinkedIn is helping build your sphere of influence for you. You have your existing spheres that you need to be working every single day. And so what LinkedIn is develop these degrees of connection so that the more you fill out, the more comprehensive your profile is, the more engagements you make, the more endorsements you make, the more connections, the more that LinkedIn is going to be able to help build your sphere of influence for you by suggesting people within the degrees of connections and networks of the people you're connected to. That's why as we get through here in today's presentation and how you actually build out the profile, your description of your profile, the keywords and terms that you'll use in building it out, which is all in here today in this step-by-step, that you pay close attention to building out each of those steps, because the more you do that, the higher connections you'll have in building out the sphere of influence through LinkedIn.
Right. And for anybody out there, if you've ever Googled your own name, what's the first thing that came up, basically? Just put it in the questions box over there on the right. Let me know what the first thing that came up when you Googled your name was.
So this is something you want to do. You can do it right now. If it's something you haven't done, is you definitely should be Googling your own name on a regular basis. And so what Brian's asking is if anybody could take a moment to type into the chat bar there and let us know if you Google your own name right now, what is the first thing that comes up in the organic search results? Not the pay-per-click advertising, but in the free or organic search results. Hopefully nobody is paying to own your name. If they are, you must be pretty popular. But go ahead and do that. We see some comments coming in right now.
It looks like what I thought for most people. If you just Google just your name, generally the top search result is going to be LinkedIn. It's going to be your profile on LinkedIn. So I did this example here with Burke. If I were to just Google his name, the first thing that pops up there is Burke Smith on LinkedIn. And for most of the people out there, this is going to be true. So if anybody was trying to find out more information about you, you definitely want that LinkedIn profile to be one of the top things they see. It's going to be, your professional profile, your business, what you're about. It's not going to have goofy pictures, anything like that. And as long as your profile is fully built out, this is going to be the top search result for your name. And we're going to go through how to build out the profile in a minute here.
Let's look at this in sort of a real-life scenario, in that before you ever go on a listing presentation, or before you go out to a coffee shop to meet those potential buyers that you're going to start driving around different neighborhoods, what do you think that they're doing before you ever get there? Okay, they're putting your name into Google. So the first thing is one, well, what do they see when they do that? What comes up, right? So you want to make sure that the first thing that they see is going to be the right thing. It's going to be you, right? So that's why we're filling out these LinkedIn profiles to as close to 100% as possible. The other thing is in the reverse of that. You will never, ever go on another listing presentation again or go out and meet buyers again without having done this to them, without having Googled their names, without having gone to their LinkedIn profiles, without having gone to their Facebook pages. Most of you are probably doing this already. Because these tools are free and available to you, you have to do this. It's essential that you do this before you engage another client in person again, because that's what they're doing to you. And you can gain invaluable information on their lifestyle, on their business, their careers, to make you much more connected to them when you get together. Okay? You'll have a better understanding potentially of what their needs are going to be. And it's very important that you do this today in Googling your own name to see what comes up. Go ahead, Brian.
All right. So the first thing we want to do is I'm actually going to jump off the presentation here and go live onto LinkedIn to show you this. You need to make sure that your profile is public. Obviously, if your profile is not set to a public setting, no one's ever going to be able to find you. And just FYI, we do also have a training video for this on YouTube. So if you ever need to check back with that, you can always just find us on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/HSA warranty. So what we need to do here is, this is just my LinkedIn homepage, and what I'm going to do is go to Profile up here and Edit Profile. And you can see down here right underneath my picture I have a link, and I have a little blue edit button next to that link. I'm going to click on that. And now on the right here, now sometimes your box might not be right here at the top right, but you see this big customize your public profile box. Sometimes it might be a little further down on here. This is what you're looking for. So the very first thing on here, you have two options. Make my public profile visible to no one. You definitely want to make sure that's not checked. If that is, that's a big problem because no one's ever going to be able to find you. The second option here is make my public profile visible to everyone. That's definitely what you want. And now just below this, you can kind of see you have a whole lot of little checkboxes next to basically everything on your profile that you have filled out. My recommendation here is to make sure these are all checked. A lot of these things are basically filled up with keywords, especially your headline, summary, and skills. Those should all be key SEO words on your profiles. That'll make you appear better in search rankings. So I would actually suggest you just go through here and make sure that everything's checked. There's really no reason you wouldn't want to have one of these things checked. It's basically just kind of your whole history of your business life. So the other thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to jump back into the slideshow before I go into this one, but it's setting up your public profile URL. So it's just similar to what we did back in our Facebook ones when we were creating, a Facebook URL for your Facebook page. You can actually do the same thing for your LinkedIn profile, just to make it so there's a really, really easy way for people to find you on LinkedIn without having to search your name. You can actually just type this in and go directly to your profile. So right below that box I was just working in where we made our profile public, down below that is this your public profile URL. So it's going to tell you what your current URL is. And if you haven't already set this up before, it'll be similar to this, linkedin.com/in/your name. Then it'll usually have a bunch of random numbers behind it. And what we're going to want to do is click on Customize Your Public Profile URL right below that there. And you're going to get this box that comes up. So what you want to put in here generally 99% of the time is going to be your name, not the name of your company. Because you have to think of your LinkedIn profile more as your online resume and all of the places you've worked and everything that you've done, not just the current company you're working for. So if I were a realtor in Minnesota, I wouldn't put linkedin.com/Minnesota real estate because people aren't really going to know to go there on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's more about the person and their experience in the business than it is about the business themselves. So right here,
those of you who've been on our webinars in the past about Facebook, you'll remember how crucially important it is to understand the difference between naming your business page and owning the name of your business page on Facebook. And we talked about utilizing keywords in generating an effective domain name or URL on Facebook. So this is a different philosophy in just that you really want to use your name or as close to what your name is, whether it's using an initial or if you have to use one of the numbers. But this is a big reason why, because it's getting so competitive, it's a big reason why you want to do this now, because the majority of real estate professionals have not done this yet. So I noticed that many of you had typed in when you had searched your name that your website came up. That's awesome. Some of you had typed up or typed in that Zillow or Trulia or something else associated with your name came up. Just simply by making your profile public here, as Brian is showing you to do, and also including this URL now, your LinkedIn profile, as you go back in and finish this, the next time you do it, there's a good chance that it'll be that LinkedIn profile that shows up first. And it's very important that people click on something that keeps them within an environment that connects directly to you. And so we're going to show you here in a minute how you can include your website into your LinkedIn profile. But it's important that they come someplace where they don't get distracted and end up someplace else, or in worst cases, end up on another agent's page. So this part here, and again, type in to the chat there if it's something that needs to be repeated or you need us to re-clarify. We'll try to do that in the time frame that we have. But also keep in mind, as I said before, all of you getting a copy of this, and you can go back and revisit it. Go ahead, Brian.
Yep, so after you have your name typed in there, all you have to do is click on Set Custom URL, and that's going to set it right up in there. And you can actually go back and change this multiple times. If, let's say, you were to get married and change your name and you wanted to change it, you can actually go back in there, follow these steps. It's not a one-and-done thing. So you can always go back in there and make changes to it. So we just made your profiles public, and we also just went through how to set up the vanity LinkedIn URL. So now we're going to talk a little bit about completing your profile. In order for a profile to be competitive on LinkedIn and rank in those top search terms, it needs to be complete. There's no doubt about that. It's really your online resume, and you wouldn't ever, turn in a resume to somebody if it was only 50% complete. You wouldn't leave a half-done resume or lying around for somebody to read if you were ever trying to get a job there or win their business. So that's why it's really important to complete these resumes on LinkedIn. So what makes your profile complete on LinkedIn? Basically, it's these things: your industry and location, a current position with a description, 2 past positions, your education information, your skills. You have to have at least 3 skills listed there. You have to upload a professional-looking profile picture and have at least 50-plus connections. So this is actually pretty easy to get this stuff filled out. And if you're ever wondering what you're missing, I'll go back into LinkedIn here and show you real quick. If you're ever just on your public profile, what it's going to do is show you on the right over here your profile strength. So you see this area right here. If you're up to the all-star level, that basically means your profile is complete. But if you're not, you can go into Edit Profile. And this stuff over here in the top right, recommended for you, is all the stuff you haven't added to your profile yet. So the only things I have left are projects, publications, organizations, and test scores. So those are the only things I haven't added to my profile yet. So if you're trying to look for what you're missing, that's the easiest way to do it. Just go Profile, Edit Profile, and then look to this box on the right on what's recommended for you. And it's important that when you're filling these things out, especially your headline, summary, and your interest, to try to use as many keywords as possible. So you're going to want, homes for sale in Nevada, basically all those types of things, short sales. As much of that as you can jam into these sections is going to really help your SEO. I'm not going to go into every single one of these, but these are things basically to keep in mind when you're filling out this information. So adding skills. This is a step that a lot of people actually get caught up on and a little confused with. So basically what these skills are, they show up on your page under the skills and expertise section. You can see here we have an example of Kathy Helbig in the Kathy Helbig group. So you can see all of her skills she has listed and the number of times she's been endorsed for them. We're going to touch on endorsements a little bit later. Right now we're just going to go in to talk about how you add skills, move skills around, and what skills are available for real estate agents. So once again from your profile here, I'm just going to go to Profile and Edit Profile. And I'm going to scroll down until I see the Skills and Expertise area. And across from that I have this little blue pen. If I click on that, it brings up all of my skills that I have here. And now what I can either do is start typing in a new skill, something like home staging, new home buyers. I'm just pulling some off the top of my head here. These also have to be skills that LinkedIn has already added into the system. You can't make up new ones. Certified home stager. So we actually have a whole list right here of real estate related skills that you can add to your LinkedIn profile. You can add a maximum of 50 skills total. This will also be shared in the slideshow when you guys get it later, so don't worry about trying to copy down all of these right now. But this is just a list that we came up with of basically the most used and highest rated skills on LinkedIn for real estate agents. So when you're in here, it's also good if you already have some skills from maybe a while ago. If you have anything such as PowerPoint or Excel or things like that, I would suggest that you go in here and you remove them because basically people just assume that you can do those things. If it's not an actual skill that you don't think will help people choose you and help drive your business, I wouldn't have it added in here. And once you're adding these skills, if it's your first time, this is actually very important. You can drag these around to reorder them. Because once you actually start getting endorsed for these skills, how they show up on your profile is going to be based on the number of endorsements each of them has. So you're going to want your main skills, those skills that you really think people are looking for in your business, to be at the top. Because those are going to be the ones that get endorsed the most. So if you're just setting this up for the first time, take the time to go in here, add all these skills, but then rearrange them so that the top at least 5 are your main big skills, the things that you really want to show off to other people and get endorsed for. And once you're done with all that, you can hit save. I'm not going to save these skills in here right now. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, connecting. So connecting on LinkedIn is basically how you would do a friend request on Facebook. What it really is, you can't add complete strangers. So it's not really like Facebook in that sense. You have to be somehow connected to this person, either by a group, working at the same business. They could just be your friends or family, but you have to have some type of connection just in order to connect with them on here. So it's really good when you're going through and filling out your profile, when you're doing your schools and the past places you worked, so your work experience. What it's actually going to do is look for other people who work there at the same time and suggest them to you as connections. So if you worked with somebody 5 years ago at a different real estate company, they're probably going to show up as somebody that you may know on LinkedIn and let you connect with them. It's also good to go through your old classmates. So fill in that college information, fill in the high school information. There's two people from back then that will connect with you on here. And as long as you guys went to the same school at the same time, you'll be able to connect with those people. Another big thing, we're going to get into groups also in just a minute on LinkedIn, is if you're in a group on LinkedIn, you can connect with all of those members in that group just by being in the same group with them. And there are some really big groups on LinkedIn. We're talking groups that go up to 5,000, 6,000 people. So if you were in one of those groups, you could actually connect with every single person in that group, and just by being on the group in and of itself. And then, of course, when you're starting off, it's always good to get your friends and family on there. So if you have friends and family that are on LinkedIn, connect with them. It's just a good way to start getting more of those connections up, because you need at least 50 to get your profile to 100% complete. Okay, so also, now that you set up that custom LinkedIn URL, it's a good thing to start adding that to your email address. We have a tutorial on this. We're not going to go over how to actually do that right now. And you can also add the LinkedIn link to your website so that people can find you easier. Just a good way. So if people want to connect with you, you want to make it as easy as possible for them. So any place you can put this profile on emails, on lead nurturing campaigns, you're going to want to put it out there so that people can find you on LinkedIn. So now we're going to get into LinkedIn groups. LinkedIn groups are huge. I mean, they're one of the best ways to market yourself on LinkedIn. And just a little marketing fact here, there are over 1 million groups already on LinkedIn. It's a pretty impressive number. Getting started in groups. So what I'm talking about here is there's so many groups out there. Here's how I suggest you kind of go about tackling that whole situation. You're going to want to join many, because like I talked about earlier, if you join a bunch of groups, you can connect with any of the people in those groups at any time just based on the fact you're in the same group with them. So go ahead and join a bunch of groups out there. Try to participate in at least a few, anywhere from 3 to 5 groups that are kind of more business focused, more about your interests and things you like to do and your local community. Try to participate in those. There's a good chance there's already some groups out there that are very similar to that have to do with the area you do business in. And try to run one. It's good to run a group because you are really then in control of that group, what they talk about, who joins, all of those types of things. So it's good to try to at least run one group on your own. If you try to run too many, there's a lot of stuff. It can take some time and just a lot of issues you could run into. And unless you're really wanting to invest that much time in it, I suggest just trying to run one group for a while to kind of get the hang of everything. And if you really like it, definitely feel free to, start multiple groups then.
This goes back to when we talked earlier about identifying your brand and understanding what your niche is. So first of all, it's a great opportunity if nobody is actively promoting a group that is your niche. So maybe it's a particular geographical location. Relocate to this neighborhood or relocate to this town, or things to do in this area. These are things that support your niche, but you're not saying buy a home with me or sell a home with me. Okay, that's not what these groups are about, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But also, you should be looking and thinking about what other people are doing who have similar niches in other areas and joining those groups. Okay, as Brian said, it's a great way to network with those people. They also generate great referral opportunities for you if you can participate in groups that are similar to the niche or the brand that you're promoting in your market.
All right, so just to go over a few groups to join and groups to look out for, please join our Winning Listings and Converting Buyers with Social Media group. We're just kicking this group off, and basically what it's going to be is a lot of insights on the changes and emerging trends for driving real estate business using social media. So it's kind of what we base all these webinars on, but in between the webinars that we do, we always have a lot of good information that we come across, maybe articles, maybe things that blog postings that we make that we'll put in there. It'll also be good for early registration for all these webinars. This one actually was 5 people away from filling up and maxing out the number of registers. So we'll always put in a link in there before we start sending out all the email campaigns for these webinars too. It'll also be your source for all the content guides, videos, and notes from the presentations. So once we're done with this today, I'm going to post the slides in there. I'm going to post the videos in there too for all the quick little walkthroughs. So if you have a minute today and you're on LinkedIn, do feel free to join that group of ours. And this is kind of like what Burke was mentioning. So it's a good idea before you start your own group to search for existing groups in your own community. A lot of times, LinkedIn's not new. People have been doing this for a little while. So there's a really good chance that there's already a group out there that's really similar to one you want to make. And if that does happen, if you do find a group that's really similar to the group you want to make, go in and actually check it out. A lot of times these groups just get abandoned and they're kind of dead. And if it's one like that, then you can make a group very similar to it and not have to worry about competing. So some other groups to look for, these are things that we've found that are pretty much in everyone's area. They just need to be localized a lot of the time. So your regional area association of realtors, that's always a good group to look out for. And if you can't find one in your area, always a great group to start. The local chamber of commerce, 99% of the time you're going to have one just in your area. The chamber of commerces are usually very good at getting these groups set up on LinkedIn. So they're also a great group to join. A local young professionals group, these kind of range from multiple things, but once again, they generally appear in every single area, basically under their own, city title. Alumni networks. This is another great one to hook up with people from the past and get back in touch with them. Alumni networks are great from whatever high school or college you graduated from. They're a good way to just, rekindle those connections. So we're going to talk a little bit about creating a group. And we did touch on a few of these points already. You really want to first off define your group and kind of come up with a list of keywords and topics. So this isn't so much talking about your business as it is what's going to interest people and why they should join your group. Once you do this, what you want to do is search for some key terms to see if those groups are already there. If they are, take a look at them. They might be dead groups that somebody made a year ago and didn't use. Then you should not have to worry about competing with them. The biggest mistake I see from time to time is that people just name their group the name of their business. Now, there's a good chance that your real estate company that you work for has a big group for all of their realtors. But if you just have your name, and your area on there, that doesn't really give the people on LinkedIn a reason to join that group. They're looking for things that would be more like, moving to Pittsburgh, or homes for sale in Raleigh, Middleton community information, and once again, I'm just using areas kind of around here, Twin Cities business professionals, relocating to, whatever your area is. These are just kind of the types of names and ideas that we wanted to give to you guys so that you can kind of understand what we're saying when, you don't want to make a group just about your business. You want to make a group about your community and what people in that community are doing, people that are moving there. So relocating to, Pittsburgh might be one. Just things like that. So you have a group that's, going to be seen by a lot of people, and they'll have a reason to join it, because if somebody's moving to Pittsburgh, they're going to go, oh, that seems like a good group. I want to join that. Or,
I understand that, the tremendous search engine value, too, in LinkedIn and how people are using this as a tool. And remember, because real estate is local, in fact, it's hyper-local now, they're looking to see really what you know about the community that you live and work in. So that's a big part of it. But also, if you're working with investors, okay, this is a great way to create groups for investors and great group to create for people who want to know about the community or relocating there, but you're not using this as a way to constantly hit people up to buy or sell with me. Even your hobbies, some people might have questioned, joining groups about hobbies that you're interested in or hobbies that you might specialize in. What you're doing is creating a connected sphere of influence with a common theme, okay? And you're doing it in a virtual way because you're not going to be able to get all of those people together physically in one place to hear what you know about a particular topic, okay, and share what they know to create that bond. So in taking, in another seminar and training that we do, it's focused specifically on conversion, okay, because at the end of the day, we only get paid on conversions. So it doesn't matter how many people you're connected to on LinkedIn or how many friends you have on Facebook if you can't sell a house or convert a buyer into buying a house. All of this is helping build and support that. You've got to create those connections because buying a home is not point, click, submit, buy a house. Working with you as an agent, there's got to be a connection that they're creating, because I think statistically every person looking to buy or sell a home 18 years of age and older personally knows 6 real estate agents, right? So if all you are to them is Burke Smith real estate agent, you have a hard time converting them. And so they're identifying with you many times through these groups or these groups that you participate in or support. And yes, doing it with your hobbies is a big part of that, okay? Anything you can do to create that increased connection. And I know because we talked about alumni things as well, somebody had mentioned about filling out your profiles with your maiden name or hyphenated names. And I'll actually touch on that right at the very end before we finish up. We'll come back, we'll revisit that. So there are a couple of questions that we're going to address towards the very end here. So hopefully you stick around and we'll be sure to get to them, as many of them as possible. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, and just some best practices for these groups. The number one thing I got to say every single time, stay active, stay active, stay active. It's the most important thing you can do. I mean, if you just take 30 minutes a week and just go in these groups, comment, like, share, do things like that, that's really all you need to do. It's 30 minutes. You can be sitting at home in front of the TV with a computer in your lap, just going over these things, typing in quick messages. It's just that stay active. If you don't stay active, the group's going to get stagnant. People won't want to be in it. They'll quit, or they'll quit following it. So that's definitely by far the most important number one thing. The second is just kind of engage in thought leadership. So, you're creating these groups to lead discussions, to talk about things that are going on in your area. So, make sure that you're putting out posts out there that are about that stuff. Don't just post, kind of random things like, oh, here's a pretty picture from, this lake by us. Make sure that it's kind of, thought leadership and things like that. Setting discussion guidelines, this is basically being a moderator. What can happen sometimes is somebody will join your group and then just go in and maybe like spam it if they're another local realtor, start spamming your group with just their listings. Saying like, oh, hey, check out this house for sale here. You need to be a moderator in situations like that and ban and kick that member out of the group. And then, creating content, that's once again kind of like being a thought leader. It's just coming up with stuff to post on a fairly regular basis just to make sure that those people don't lose interest in your group. Okay, so we're going to get into LinkedIn endorsements here. This is a fairly new feature of LinkedIn. It just got introduced, I think, 6 to 8 months ago. And basically what it is a way for people to recognize your skills. So in that skills and expertise area we talked about before, when we were talking about adding those skills in there, people can actually come to your profile and endorse you for all those skills that you have. There's really 2 ways of doing this. I'm going to show you live here in just a second. And you can actually see, who's endorsed you. So when you endorse somebody, your picture is going to show up on their page. If they endorse you, their picture is going to show up on your page. So it's kind of a good way to increase your awareness on LinkedIn by going around and endorsing people. We're going to go through and do that live right now. So there's 2 ways. The first one, I don't recommend too much. Because what it is this blue box right here. Whenever you go to anybody's profile, if you've already endorsed them before, like I have done for Burke, what you're going to see is this, and it's just going to bring up basically 4 random connections, and what you can either do is endorse them by clicking on endorse right underneath their picture and do it one by one, or if you don't want them, you can just click that X and it'll bring up another person, or you can endorse all 4 of these people for this one skill that they have listed right here. So this is an alright way of doing it, but I wouldn't suggest it because you're just endorsing all these people for one skill. And if you go down to their profile and look, what you can see is that these people actually have multiple skills. So like I said about being seen on their profile, so this is me. I endorsed Burke for marketing. So you can see that my picture is going to show up on his profile right here. And now,
what's important, when considering these endorsements is, you're actually showing up in the connections of the people within your sphere. It helps increase your sphere of influence by showing up there, especially if you've got a built-out profile with your image, with some description. Again, this is about building a network. It's not so much about the actual physical networking, because there's still a personal side of the business. We're doing that in the real world. But you're building a network. You're building a sphere of influence that helps create more of those interactions, so as you build out groups or build a brand name for yourself. This is as important for brand new agents as it is for agents who've been in the business a long, long time. Because what it comes down to is ultimately people feel better about working with someone that they know has endorsed them. Okay, so they may not know you, but they know someone who does know you. And so these endorsements are a good way to build that sphere. It's also very important you use this as a way with your clients, them understanding that you are recognizing what they do. You start to learn about what your buyers do, what your sellers do, and endorsing them. It's a much more effective way of creating a professional bond as opposed to just friending somebody on Facebook. In fact, it's not always the best idea, and it's a whole other seminar and tutorial that we do, obviously, on Facebook, but the idea of friending all of your clients is much more safe and professional way to do that here within LinkedIn, connecting with them and endorsing what they do. Sorry, Brian.
Oh, not a problem. So the second way to go about these endorsements is this. If you go to any of your contacts profiles and you haven't endorsed them before, what you're going to see is this blue box, which is different from that last one we saw that had multiple people. This one's just going to have one person, so it's talking about these skills from Michael Herman. and it's going to list his top 5 skills that he has on his profile that are the most endorsed and give me the option to endorse them right here. Now, what else I can do if there's skills I know he has that aren't showing up here, I can actually just type them in. I'm going to use dinosaurs because when I was doing all this research, I found out some really funny skills you can add to people's profiles. And what else you can do then is just click on endorse. And that way, if I go down here now to his skills and expertise, that might take a minute to load, but I would be listed right down under here underneath strategic planning, operations management, and risk management. So another thing about these endorsements is you can actually manage what shows up on your own personal profile. So if you go to edit profile, and once again go down to these skills and expertise, over here right underneath the skills and expertise, this is where we were just a little bit ago with the add and remove. If you go to manage endorsements, you'll see which things you're most endorsed for, and it'll actually give you a list of everybody who's endorsed that skill. And you can uncheck their names if you don't want them to show up on that list of people who've endorsed your skills. The number won't change, but maybe the number does change. But it just won't show them on there anymore, even though they have endorsed your skill. So, if you have endorsements from maybe some really big, powerful people in the industry and you want to make sure they show up here, you can go in and take out maybe a few other people that were just friends and family. If, let's say, your mom was really nice and she came in and endorsed you for all your skills, you might not want those showing up versus somebody who has some real pull in the industry. So after you go through here and, choose whose endorsements you want to show up, you can just click on Save, and then it'll edit it right here in this area. So just some quick best practices for your status updates on LinkedIn. These are very similar to the ones we went over in Facebook. It's always a great idea to use links and images. You want to keep it short, 80 to 120 characters, gets the most engagement. You also want to tell your followers what to do. So if you want them to go to your website to check something out, say that in there. Don't just say, oh, this is on my website. Say, go look at this on my website right now, because it's important. Also, be helpful, not so much promotional. So you don't want to be on LinkedIn posting just listing after listing after listing. What you really want to do is just be very helpful to the people, answer their questions. If you do write a blog, LinkedIn is a great place to share your blog posts. Answer questions. This is another big one. So if you just start going out there and answering the questions, your frequently asked questions that you get from customers all the time, just going out there and putting in the answers to those questions that people are asking, it's a great way to just start making your status updates on there, and in groups as well. Contribute content regularly. You can try to post once a day. I say at least set aside 30 minutes a week to go in there and comment on your groups, make some updates to your profile, post some statuses of your own. The best times to post, since this is a professional network, it's weekdays, 7 to 11 a.m. And I'm going to hand this back over to Burke right now to finish it up.
Well, we like to wrap up, and I know that we kept this just under an hour here, and I always like to close things out by saying, reminding people that this is a personal business, and if everybody is tweeting and Facebooking and blogging and texting and pinging and posting and emailing, then nobody is door knocking and farming and calling and talking and writing and mailing and living. Your opportunity is to combine these two columns as much as possible. And in fact, when you create these groups, it's extremely valuable that you're out actually in the market, that you're doing your caravans, that you're hosting open houses, and that you're driving people offline, online. You're sending them to your LinkedIn profiles. You're actually including it in your marketing materials. You're including it in your email signatures, because you want to encourage people to go there organically, to search for you, find you, go to these pages, and connect with you, right? Unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time to go into detail on a lot of the questions we've gotten, so we're going to answer those directly. It takes a little bit longer to go into the concept of connecting with competitors, and I understand that there's there's going to be a debate on both sides of that, whether you should or you shouldn't as you're building out your sphere of influence. You've got to trust people, so especially if it is a competitor, there's got to be a trust there. We're all kind of playing in the same sandbox, so you have to really think about whether this is somebody who's going to be, bringing buyers to your listings. But that's more of a, you've got to answer that question yourself personally, whether you trust the people that you're bringing in when they're competitors. I could tell you that you definitely want to be looking to connect with people who are referral sources, people who are doing what you do in other markets. So yes, it's nice to connect to the agents within your office or agents within your market, but really you should be looking at who's doing what you do outside of your marketplace and connecting with them. You'll find all the things that we've referenced in building out your social media tools that we've done before in the webinars and tutorials at HSA, at our HSA Home Warranty Facebook page, facebook.com/HSA Home Warranty, under the tab Social Media Resources. So be sure to go there and like the page, check that out today, click on that button, and you'll get access to all the tutorials that we've done before completely for free, as long as you've averaged 10 home warranties per month with us for the last 3 years. I'm just kidding. It's free for everybody. We just hope that as you see the added value in this, in helping build your business and winning more listings, converting more buyers, that you'll reach out to your local HSA representative immediately if you aren't already working with them. But again, check that out. All those tools are completely free. Connecting with me on Twitter at Burke J. Smith, on Facebook, facebook.com/YourNetCoach, or on LinkedIn with Burke Smith. Again, I'm the Chief Communications Officer at HSA Home Warranty, but I also built a very successful real estate company using the same tools that we talked about today, and have coached and trained many of the top brokers and agents around the country who are using this stuff and investing themselves like in themselves like you guys are today, in things that they don't cost money. It takes a little bit of time, and educating yourself on what the consumer is using today. And we're not doing this just because we think it's a great idea for real estate agents. We know that this is where the consumer is today, and you need to meet the needs of today's consumer. Also, here's my email address if you have any questions or comments or things we weren't able to get to today. And also, feel free to still type those questions in now at the end, because we will have your information so we can respond to you directly. Some of you had mentioned the idea of filling out your profile with your maiden name or using a hyphenated name. We're going to send you a link that kind of explains how you can go in and edit your profile so that you can add former names or nicknames or things that people might search in addition to what current name that you're marketing or branding, so that people you went to school with or old friends or whatever will still be able to find you. What you see up here on your screen is how you can find your local HSA rep. All these fantastic, cool, fabulous people are in your marketplace, and you need to use them as resources. They're not just great resources for how your clients can benefit from using the HSA Home Warranty, but also all of these free webinars, both the live seminars that we may be doing in your marketplace or the free webinars that are coming up. They've got that information. They'll be able to get that to you, and also be able to provide you with information on the past webinars that we've done. But again, they're, besides being great people, they're tremendous resources there for you locally, so lean on them. They'd love to help you there in your marketplace, get them into your office, talk to them, take them up on grabbing a cup of coffee or whatever it may be, because you need to be leaning on your affiliates, not just your home warranty people, but also all of your affiliates, and helping build your spheres of influence through social media. So make sure you find out who your local HSA rep is. And that kind of concludes today's call. Thanks so much for being here today. We kept it within an hour. We hope you found it to be valuable. All of you who were registered for today's call will be getting a copy of the presentation as well as a link to the audio recorded version of today's presentation. As I said, either reach out to one of your local HSA reps or reach out to myself or Brian directly with your questions or comments, the things that we might be able to help you with one-on-one. This is brought to you as an added value because we're all in this together. And we know that social media and technology change not just day to day, but in many ways minute to minute. We're going to continue as a free added value service from HSA Home Warranty to bring you the latest and greatest in these tools, but only as they pertain to helping build your business, specifically focused on winning a listing or converting a buyer. We certainly could do plenty of webinars and trainings on how you use social media to completely waste time, because there's lots of ways to do that. We focus specifically on helping build your business, so we hope that you found it valuable today. We look forward to seeing you on our next webinar as we continue along the series of winning listings, converting buyers through social media. So keep an eye out for the next webinar that we're doing or one of the local live events that we'll be doing. You can also talk to your local HSA rep about how you might be able to get a local live social media seminar or training at your office. Again, thanks so much for being here today and investing yourself and time and education building your business. We wish you lots of great success. We look forward to seeing you in the future. For Brian Geik, my partner here today, and the entire team at HSA Home Warranty, we really appreciate your business and we appreciate you being here today, and hope that this will help either get you one more listing or one more buyer. Again, my name is Burke Smith, Chief Communications Officer at HSA Home Warranty. Have a great, wonderful rest of the week.